Yes, and MOD24 is coming. We don't have an exact date yet. We have heard it's going to be in November. Why am I excited about that? Well, the last mod we had was February, and that was Dragonbone Veil. And the deal with Dragonbone Veil is, I imagine a lot of people will go, "Holy shit, that's me." Is that once people got the Mythalar set and they finished the campaign, they never stepped foot back into that zone ever again. The only replayability in that zone was to farm the reputation, I believe is what the currency was called. Farm the reputation to get the keys for Crown of Keldagon. Well, the problem is very, very, very few people Neverwinter have completed Crown of Keldagon. It was such an insanely hard challenge. To cap that off, there was zero incentive to do it. I mean, there was the three companion gears, right? The what are they called? These ones. But most people were like, I'm okay without the 300 item level. I'll be just fine. Because not everybody's end game and wants to do the trials for the challenge and get better. A lot of people will go, why am I going to spend all these resources to get my tune ready for Crown of Keldagon and get nothing out of it? So it wasn't a dead on arrival trial, but I do think compared to previous trials, there was way less willingness to run it. And so that mod was pretty good, but for a lot of people, it was a quick 3 week mod, and they were done. And then we had to rewind back to January 2021 when Sharandar hit. That's right. When this November comes, we'll have had two mods in a year and 10 months. You can't count this mod, the Dragon Hunter mod. This isn't a mod. You can't count the previous mod where they added the Bard. Adding a class is not a mod, right? So we got a new mod coming. I think a lot of people are going to realize how many people actually play this game. Because I think a lot of people aren't playing, but they didn't quit. They're just on the sidelines waiting for something to do. Because there are a lot of people who cannot find anything to do in the game right now. So when this new mod comes, hopefully with a new dungeon, with a new zone, it's gonna bring back everybody back again. And they're gonna be like, Gus, can I get back in our guild? I'm like, sorry, dude, we're full. Let me find you a home. And all these people are gonna be playing again. And what I think is gonna be the side effect of that is the auction house is going to blow up because the meta is changing. Maybe I can make another video. I'll talk about it now. The meta is changing. To me, the meta's already changed. It's just not apparent to everybody yet. So when they came out with the last combat rework, augments were considered pretty much best in slot. I ran with a striker because remember, tutors weren't always a million AD. They were 25 million AD. Not everybody had a tutor, and I was fortunate enough to have one. So guess what I always ran? And I run a lot of solo content. I run a lot of 5-man content. So running a striker build gave me the utility to run both trials, 5-man, and solo content and be able to use either a striker or support companion. Well, then the new Dragon Hunter mod, I hate using that word mod because they added a dragon hunt, but they added that, and then we got two new gears that severely increased the amount of ratings we could get. Now we could make a striker build that was on par. I would suggest even surpass that of an augment's capability. And then Tuesday they nerfed the Band of Air. And there's a big downside with that nerf. When they announced the nerf, they specifically said, we know, well, not exact words, we know players worked very hard for this Band of Air. And it would be disappointing if we made it obsolete. So we're still going to keep it best in slot, just not as best in slot. That's what I remember the words, what they meant to say. I think a lot of people would be like, yeah, that's probably almost exactly what they said. Well, they released the Band of Air. I don't know about for other classes, but for HRs, there's probably 20 more rings better than the Band of Air. It is that bad on an HR. Maybe our multiple advanced combat tracker tests are all wrong, but that ring is almost utterly useless on a Hunter Ranger. Complete garbage. So now we have two choices. We can go with a damage ring, which are all garbage, especially on HRs. Because if you go with a melee or an at will ring or a ranged ring or an encounter ring, those are all a third of our damage. So a 3% buff to one third of our damage is a 1% gain. That's prior to diminishing returns with all the other outgoing damage we have. Pretty doo doo. So most HRs, I believe, and maybe other classes as well, are going to be going with the um, stat rings. So now we have even more stats. And the problem with augments is they have a very low ceiling. Once you hit your stat caps, augments do absolutely nothing to your build. You can't advance your build any further. Striker builds give your build a ton of room to grow. So now what we're at, and to compound that even more, if you're not convinced it's the meta yet, now we got Module 24 coming where there's even more gears. They're going to give more stats. There's no way to possibly fill the void of all those stats in an augment build. If you want to take full potential of everything that's out there, you got to go striker. Augment builds are still very viable. They have a lot of pluses to them. For example, if you are not endgame, augments are amazing because they're a very cheap way to get a ton of stats. So you can be strong without spending a lot of resources. Another thing great about augments is it takes no coordination whatsoever because nobody's going to mention probably using a raptor in an augment group. Well, they might, but it's really not necessary. It can maybe help a little bit, but nowhere is it dependent like you kind of see on most striker builds. So now we're shifting where we got an augment which is very viable in any content in the game. And then we got an augment which is great for newer players. Then we got a striker that takes organization, a ton of resources, but I believe much higher damage potential. And how many DPS players in the game do not want to? How many of them go, I don't need more damage. I'm just fine. That's usually not how most DPS think. Most DPS are trying to figure out how they can be the best at their role, which is dealing damage. And the strikers, I believe, have much higher plateau for damage now than we do augments. Because strikers actually do, I don't know how much damage they do. I'm guessing 8 to 12% of our damage. I might be way wrong. People are like, what's 10%? 10% is a shitload. 10% is an extra 20 million a Tom. Multiply that by 7 DPS, that's 140 million. That's almost an extra DPS in the group. That's a big deal, especially if you're helping a brand new player get through or helping train somebody who will most undoubtedly go to the campfire. And now you have 6 DPS instead of 7. Or if you're running 2 tanks, 2 healers, now you have 5 DPS instead of 6. And you're missing a debuff artifact, and you're possibly missing a debuff mount. So yeah, it's a big deal. The meta is changing. I believe it's going to go striker. Plus, we got all these players coming back to a brand new mod. Probably the first mod most people are going to put a lot of time into in 2 years. And I think the recipe for that equals a huge auction house influx. I see insignias going up. Um, I would. I'm guessing that a lot of augment users are going to need aggression and skills, so a lot of them will go to aggression and skills. I'm not buying because it's such a risky bet. Because if you buy it and then they introduce some way to get mythic insignias way easier, well, guess what? Then now your investment's gone. So they're pretty risky. Companions, yeah, I think there's some companions like Regis I got on. The Succubus could definitely go up, especially if it's a dungeon where it's very AoE heavy. If a lot of people don't remember when Sheridan come out, the the optimal group was a tank, a healer, and 3 DPS, 5 Zunas, right? Tanks and healers, they're using striker companions too. And it will probably be the same in the new dungeon. People are like, my tankiness goes down. Hey, you can tank just fine with the striker companion. You can heal just fine with the striker companion. I promise you'll be fine. Um, Plus, we're getting more stats from a lot of, since we're not using the Band of Air, that 1% damage is almost useless compared to the 4,500 stats we get replacing Ferocity with a stat gain on HRs. Augments will probably still use Ferocity. I do know if I had a bunch of Termish Lions, I would want to offload them. I don't see them trending upwards. Eh, So we got mod coming, tons of new players coming back, meta changing. We don't know what the item level is going to be for the new dungeon. If there is a new dungeon, I suspect there will be a new dungeon, and I wouldn't be surprised if the item level is in the 70k range. So a lot of people want to up their item level, and the biggest ways to do that are through enchants and insignias, right? Comp tokens, I see them going way up. I have a bunch of Astral lock boxes, and I'm considering not selling any more until November because the best, cheapest, fastest way to get them in the game without paying cash is through Astral lock boxes. The problem is it's not on the calendar, but what if they add it back to the calendar and I could have sold a few thousand instead of holding on to them? So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I might just hedge my bet and just try to get rid of as many as I can. Plus, we don't know how many people are still going to have them when the new mod comes. So everything's such a gamble in this game. But man, I cannot wait for this new mod. I can't. Hopefully, they start putting more info on it soon. Like, when is it coming? Hopefully, there's a new dungeon. Preview has the new gears. Um, Aragon and Aster, I believe, have both put out videos on these new gears. Oh, and so has Galactic, and there's a lot of stuff in there that's finally going to change our builds because our builds haven't changed in years, right? So look at this is the Greaster's helmet. I've been using this since Avernus. The only difference is this has a little bit more item level. It helps me in 3 dungeons in this entire game. I'm still using the nerfed rib cage, right? I've been using this since Avernus. I'm still well. I'm using these gloves. Well, I just put them on. Actually, I'm not. I'm running with these ones. The spike defenders, which we've had since Valnhof. MC weapons have been around for years. I'm using the Wasteland Wanderers, but usually I run with the rusted irons, which are from Valnhof as well. I'm running with these new gears. Well, probably shouldn't run with that one. I should probably put on yeah, I should probably put on that. Which are from the all these are these have no use. I'm only using this because it has a little bit higher item level than the heart of the Black Dragon, which has been around since the game has been around. Look, I'm wearing this crusty crit ring because they nerfed this set to make this ring any useful. I had to take off my banner that was nerfed to put on an accuracy ring. I mean, the game has not changed at all in years. So I'm very much looking forward to having a new build and something to build towards because once you have your build made and you're on like, I don't know, that HR Discord, I imagine that other classes have one as well, where we can discuss what's better. So we're always trying to improve and make our classes, reach its optimal level. But finally, we get to change our builds. Finally, we're gonna have a new dungeon to run. It's only been 2 years, right, since we had a new dungeon. Thank God. Well, stay classy, Neverwinter. See you soon.